Feelings. Describe a time when you had those feelings. Okay, I'm like, okay, kids, come to mom's bedroom. Kids, in here, please. I am dead serious. And I say, everybody in bed with me. All right, let's just look at these sample questions and what you're never supposed to answer in school. Just say none of your business. Yeah. And I'll deal with your teacher or your principal or whatever because they hate to see me coming. This one came from a crossword puzzle where 8th graders were taught liberalism versus conservatives. Students learn conservatives is the political belief of preserving traditional moral values by restricting personal freedoms. Conversely, they learn liberalism is the political belief of equality and personal freedom for everyone, often changing the current system to increasing government protection of their civil liberties. Here's a big one, and we're seeing this over and over. This was an AP prep, okay? This was for a prep test for an AP government class. Notice what the Second Amendment says. The people have the right to keep and bear arms in a state militia. Kids, come to my bedroom. Come here, let's read. I made them memorize the Second Amendment that night because they may not see it in their books. Yeah, right. Second Amendment, just so you know, it doesn't say anything like that. Example, here's one that's going to be hard for me, but I want you guys to see this. You're told that this has nothing to do with history and social studies, and that is the biggest lie. You know, don't you, Nat? But here are, on the corestandards.org, they give what's called exemplar lists, okay? And an exemplar list are a recommended reading list, all right? And here's just an example, because this is what the standard writers recommend to go along with their standards. This is one, here's one. How 2 lost boys rode the internet out of Idaho. The evolution of the grocery bag. The Environmental Protection Agency recommended levels of insulation. But you go here, and this is where I got this, English language arts, but look at this. It says literacy in history and social studies, science and technical. It's Appendix B. And you can pull from what's called the exemplars. So this is the actual standards writers. What's copyrighted? This is it. And you see, you know, I mean, there's some stories. Edgar Allan Poe, it's not Poe, there's one from him. It's not all bad. Oh, what I wanted to show you, is this book right here. Now see, it's on Appendix B, page 11, and it's called The Bluest Eye. If there are kids in here, I have to make you turn them around, please. I'm sorry, you can't. Close your eyes. How many kids are? I really need any kids in the room. Parents, please help me. Okay. Old, young. I mean, even if they're old. Paul, make him turn his head that way. And I know you guys are like, what are you doing? But you have to understand. These are the books. Everyone, watch a kid next to you, please. These are the books that are on the exemplar list. Your 11th graders will be reading this if you don't do something about it. This is the book. I'm going to give you a couple quick snippets. There are dozens.
Wasn't this listed as one of the top 10 books to be banned in the United States?
But this is an exemplar reading list. This is about a pedophile, okay, that is raping little girls. And it depicts him as someone who's soft and loving and is sick. But you're going to have a teacher. Here's another one. And notice it's talking about little girls, little girls, little girls. Know this. I'm skipping it, but just understand. Talks about, just about, you know, it's just sick. I'm going to skip it. But understand this, when your child reads this in school, some teacher is going to have to discuss it. It's going to be a class discussion about a pedophile who rapes little girls. I'm sorry, call me old-fashioned. I don't want my 11th grader talking to anybody. No, and it's not the appropriate venue for that at public school. It is sick. And understand, this is what's called exemplar. Okay, they've chosen that book. There are many others just like it on the list. I'm sorry?
Is Camdenton reading that book?
You know, we don't know yet, but this is, you're here so we can all pay close attention. That's why we're here tonight. This is one of the daddy who was an attorney and had a background. He found this in his little 4th grader's backpack. I am willing to give up some of my constitutional rights in order to be safer or more secure. that crossword puzzle. We've already talked about it. No, this is one. Here's like your ELA standards. Yeah, kids turn around. We're good. My bad. Sorry about that. Here's one of your standards. It talks about inferences, right? So if something's inferred in the writing, the problem is the writings are weird. Like this comes from an e-reading worksheet, Common Core related. This happened in 2 states, Arizona, and I can't remember the other one. But this little girl brought this home. There's a news story about it. Ruby sat on the bed she shared with her husband holding a hair clip. I'm going to paraphrase. The hair clip was neon green, and there was a long blonde hair in it. But she had dark brown hair. She sat there, her heart broken. Now her life would never be the same. She would wait here until Mike returned home. Well, and this is for her 4th grader. Why is Ruby so affected by that hair clip? Well, Ruby's dad apparently was having an affair with a blonde-headed lady. This is where we're headed.
Is that 4th grade?
This is a Common Core assignment. This just came out of Arkansas. The assignment, it says, Common Core assignment makes 6th graders scrap the Bill of Rights and the amendments. The assignment's instruction, which includes hideous grammatical errors, it tells students the government of the United States is currently revisiting the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Unknown federal officials have determined that the Bill of Rights is outdated and may not remain in its current form any longer. The mom was so angry because she said nobody's ever taught them what the Bill of Rights even is. And how precious that document is and what it means to us as a country, but they're just teaching them it's old and outdated and we need to redo that. This is one that just came out last week, October 16th. And the kids, when these high school kids go to school, okay, like Sophie does, or Bo, my son, and they sit down at a computer, but the deal is, guys, when they sit down at a computer, you have like a number, don't you have a number to key in? And then to this particular site, you had to key in another identification number. But it says parents were outraged when this survey they found because the kids came home and told them. Probably had Sophie in that class too. What religion do you identify with? This is where they had to sign in. It's called Edline. What's your household income? What is your sexual orientation? What's your parents' political identification? Should marijuana in Maryland be legal, illegal? What best represent your feelings about Obamacare? Should students have to complete an environmental service project to graduate high school? Should the sale of an assault rifle be banned? Which of the following would, now this is interesting because free and reduced lunch and making kids eat at school is a really big deal. But what would make you more likely to eat at school? Which I think is interesting. I don't completely understand. If Obama were Caucasian, how much more or less criticism? Now understand, the school is not collecting this data.
Right.
Because somebody else is.
So do they have to fill that out before they can go on to anything else?
And the parents got angry and it was an uproar and they tried to scrub it and then they got it and it was but know this is happening. Yes, Jane.
This reminds me of the stories of the brown shirts when Hitler was taking over Germany.
Yes.
They
That's
called them
right,
the
they
brown
took the
shirts.
kids first.
The kids were actually
Re-educate them.
parents.
Yes. And a lot of times I had a lady in one of my meetings say the kids didn't even know they were turning in their parent.
Nope.
Anyway, moving on. Again, this is another textbook. It's widely used in our country. Talks about the Second and Third Amendments together. Grant citizens the right to bear arms as a member of a militia, citizen soldiers, and prevent the government from. He's totally passed over it. Okay? You better be looking at your kids' textbooks. Colorado 7th grader mom was furious when her kid had to take a righty-lefty survey. Basically said healthcare liberals believe that all Americans are entitled. Conservatives do not believe that Americans are entitled. Where do you fit? Gay marriage. I mean, this is for a little kid, a 7th grader. They're happening all over the country, guys. This was one that I found completely disturbing.
Okay.
If you notice, it says a severe storm has crippled a small ship, the Guppy, and the only remaining lifeboat has room for 7. It's so sick. My kids but basically it says one man is 37 white, no religious affiliation, PhD in history, professor, at good health, jogs daily, 38 white Jewish, rather obese, but your kids have to take out of like 28. They have to pick the 7 that they would choose to survive.
Gee.
This is for little kids. They have to sit in a group and decide as a group, and it had to be unanimous. Who gets to survive? This is something that just happened in our school district in Camdenton. You better pay attention, parents.
Here we go.
I'm pleased to let you know that our class will be participating in a global community, the world's largest. EPALs can safely connect and collaborate with classrooms in more than 200 countries. Our goal is to increase global awareness, global friendships. We're not Americans anymore.
United Nations behind it.
We're global citizens. But know this, how do you know who your child's talking to? The teacher's told that it's probably safe. I would say no on this. 9-year-olds, here's the other deal Desi will say over and over. Oh, we want kids to be excellent writers. The problem is to take the test, they have to be really good typists. Developmentally, it's very difficult for a little bitty kindergartner or a 3rd grader to type out. I have one, and he's really good on the computer, but he could never sit in within a constrained period of time. My experience with Sophie, last year she had to do a research paper, and this is at Camdenton. Okay, it's called SIRS, and she had to do a research paper. Hers had a very conservative slant, but her teacher said, you have to use this. You have to have 3 sources, you have to use this. And she said, this is what Sophie said, it provides a portal to relevant, credible, is what her teacher said, information carefully hand-selected. And Sophie said, Mom, when I pulled it up, it had Common Core approved banner across the top of it. I said, wait, how is a research paper really legitimately research if you have to use only one search engine? So she went to her teacher and she said, I can't do this. I can't substantiate my position with this search engine. But she's like, okay, just don't bring your mom in. You can have more. Just don't tell your mom. I was in a teacher's class yesterday. He's like, Sophie should have just asked me. I said, oh no. Oh no. It was a government class. That's kind of, I got 2 degrees in government for him. He's like, oh no, here she comes. Anyway, this is something brand new. Bill Gates just donated for a grant, wiring our students for galvanic response bracelets. This is coming. He signed a grant to Clemson University, and it'll be a pilot somewhere. Your kids, if they have little indentions on their wrists, it may be for this. He says, we're technocrats. But know this, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch 4 weeks ago, we've been implementing Common Core for about the last 3 years. And a report came out, the MAP test, for the first time in 5 years, our MAP test scores tanked math.
Okay.
Now, if something happened to Bill Gates, he would no longer be on this earth. Is there any, would it help?
That would have helped.
Are there too many people that are already involved in this?
Many people already.
I want you guys to get this part. Here's a big deal that's just come to our awareness, and I want you guys to really get this, okay? This is super important. And this is what's really disturbed me. I'm really having a hard time with this one. Because sometimes all of this gets to you. I talk about it all the time, and it gets to me a little bit, the weight of it. But I want you to understand, Obamacare overlaps Common Core. The Affordable Care Act, Maternal, Infant, and Early Childhood Home Visiting Program. It is actually a part of Obamacare, okay? And I want you to understand how it can affect you. There is a provision in Obamacare that allows for home inspections on behalf of the children if any one of the following are found in that home. Families where a mom is not yet 21. Families where someone is a tobacco user.
Oh my gosh.
Families where children have low student achievement, developmental delays, or disabilities. Now we know this is an experiment in education. We know a lot of social, emotional things are going to be tested. We know my kids are going to say, I don't know, or I'm not answering that on a lot of them. But what happens? How do they measure? Yes, John.
When those scores tank, what you'll hear next year is how well we're doing with Common Core, because they'll show you the score.
Say that louder. Like you hear.
I said what will happen when the scores tank like that next year, if they have a tick up and the scores,
Right.
they're gonna say it's because.
It's wonderful. Yeah. But,
Something will happen.
but know this, guys. It puts every single one of you with a kid in school, homeschoolers, families with individuals who serving, or like this one just chaps me. It's because our veterans who are serving or formerly served in the armed forces, including such families that have members of the armed forces who have had multiple deployments, they can come into your home at any time. And although this is not widely reported, homeschoolers and their families will be targeted for interventions. This is a provision of Obamacare that's overlapping.
Read the rest of that.
Yeah, read the rest of it, because most parents don't realize this is happening.
Although it is not widely reported, homeschoolers and their families will be targeted for interventions, as will families who object to having their children take vaccines.
I'm moving out of here. That is ridiculous.
But the thing is, though, just know this. FERPA, okay, FERPA trumps HIPAA. You understand what that means? That when your kid has all of his records, his medical records at school, FERPA opens the door to HIPAA. Okay? Yes.
Is that actually in law? I mean,
Yes.
Because HIPAA really is about as high as you get as far as security.
When it's brought into the education institution, when it's brought into the school, then it becomes their education. It becomes their educational record. So that's where if they have a record in the school, FERPA trumps HIPAA.
HIPAA does not, if the federal government wants that information, that's not a HIPAA violation.
Right.
The federal government is
Has
the only
access.
entity that can have access to your health information.
And this is the only thing that we're seeing, is that they're taking so much data through all these agencies. They'll ask, if you wanted to say, do you want your kid to go on the field trip? Do they have allergies? Do they take any medication? And you're giving them all this medical information. I'm almost done. I want you to get this. Literacy in history and social studies. Okay, we talked about this briefly. If you don't think it's happening, it is happening. They're teaching our kids without standards. They're infusing history and how they believe it should be taught. In California, they saw the SBAC, the assessments, 11 texts, 2 were scientific, 4 historical and government, 3 news stories, 2 texts were only explicitly literary and ELA standards. They're all history. You'll see history, social, but they tell you it's not history, it's social studies. Know this, and I'll close with this. This is called the National Center for the Social Studies, okay? And when you understand what's happening in education, this is the largest professional development. They're writing, rewriting, they're helping with the history standards, the social studies standards. So this organization is www.socialstudies.org, okay? But if you hit conferences, they're having their national conference in St. Louis this fall, November. And they'll talk about John Dewey and other great educators understood public schools do not serve a public as much as create a public. The goal of schooling is not merely preparation for citizenship, but citizenship itself. To equip a citizenry with the knowledge, skills, and dispositions needed to be engaged in civic life. Yes?
I listened to some Georgia governors, principals that are anti-Common Core. And they exposed with these 2 organizations that, the Smart Balance Assessment and the PARC, that these are the same educators that in 1995 or 96 tried to impose a national historical, national history curriculum that the Senate voted down 99-1 because it was so anti-American.
Yes.
So now what they have done is slipped in, let's do non-controversial topics. They learned this time to do non-controversial
Well,
topics.
standards.
Yeah,
English.
And then they're going to rewrite your history.
That's right.
for you.
It's called informational text.
Yeah, this is the same.
But this is the same group. She's right. And it was bipartisan, overwhelmingly, almost 100%. But know this, John Dewey is one of the biggest socialists ever to walk. His goal was to socialize America. No, it says in this, and we have so many teachers from across the state as we travel that are going to this conference, but it says they're going to have 100 sessions that address the Common Core ELA standards for history. Wait, we don't have history and social studies, they said. Yes, we do. Oliver Stone's gonna speak at it. I hope I get to go. Here's one of them, Susan B. Anthony's I really think I'm gonna get to go. They say Breitbart may give me a scholarship. No, love that, me though. It says, Susan, notice this theme, social justice in the Susan B. Anthony reading and listing with purpose, controversial lyrics in the Common Core. Getting crunk with the Common Core. Do you know what crunk means?
No.
Do you, Abby? Crazy drunk.
Yeah.
We're gonna teach them how to dance like it. It's called crunk. Google it. Oh yeah, it's cool. Remember, we're 21st century learners, right? No math memorization and getting crunk. That's right.
Okay, those are new words.
Notice this, creating global citizens.
Yeah.
Middle school UN, model UN, developing, building, negotiating, and compromise. Missing Muslim heroes, inspiring stories you haven't heard. Their biographies grace few library shelves. The humanitarian Muslims embody our deepest values and provide role models for us all alike. Social studies aligns with common assessment, investigate climate change, achieving social justice through economics. You're getting the picture, right?
Yeah.
The founders of social justice. Now there are some others that are different, but I want to show you this one. Promoting social justice through literature, picture books that present multiple masculinities. Do you know what that means?
Okay.
Transgender. And the problem is it's for pre-K and elementary students. This session focuses on the benefits of literature that help children rethink their gender stereotypes. Picture books and instructional strategies are discussed that present multiple masculinities and gender non-conforming characteristics. The problem is, what if a teacher says, I'm uncomfortable with that? Does the teacher have any protection, or is she violating their civil liberties? How many was on there? Costs? Who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows. We wish we did. We ask that every single time we go to Jefferson. Who knows? We don't know. It says in Washington State, it was estimated the implementation costs have ranged from $183 million. Now get this. For 1 million students, $183 million to $1.6 billion in California for 6 million students. We have no idea. I have people all over the state that are taking the test. They piloted the test. I've had at least 3 districts say when they booted up the test, the whole system crashed the whole school. I had a mom tell me that her daughter came home and said, that was crazy, that test creeped me out. So the mom just went in and she said, I would like to see my daughter, what she did on that test yesterday, that SBAC test yesterday. And the principal's like, oh, that's not possible. That's a link. When that link times out, it just goes off into space. We don't even see it. We have no idea.
Wow. Jeez.
Look. Now close with this. If you tell a lie big enough and you keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it.
The lie can be maintained only for such a time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. So I'm pretty much public enemy one. But there's a lot of us. Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of us, and it's growing. What you guys can do, educate yourself, ask, I have sheets on the table, ask lots of questions. Put your kids in bed with you at night and teach them from the time they're really little what questions not to answer. Teach them, if they have phones in junior high, snap pictures of anything that makes you uncomfortable. Snap a picture. Teach them the Second Amendment and what it says. Teach them to be patriotic Americans. We are not global citizens. We are proud American citizens. We were born with a birthright that is unique to any other in the world. We are a beacon on a hill. Your state reps, I invited Rocky Miller and Diane Franklin to be here tonight. I think he's better. But Diane Franklin, I will tell you, just so you know this, she signed a letter of endorsement for the Race to the Top grant application last year. Race to the Top is this on steroids. So our state representative in Camdenton, I emailed her and said, based on your glowing recommendation of a race to the top, I assume you're for Common Core. I assume you're for Common Core. It's like, I get no answer. But it's our job to hold them accountable, because it's not okay. Call your state reps, tell your friends by word of mouth with sharing things on Facebook and the internet. Petition your school board. Get involved in your school board elections. John Beckett, Laura Martin, let me tell you why they've taken it on the chin. Because they have fought this. Because they have asked questions. And it breaks my heart to see how they've been treated. They have gone to bat for your kids, and they have been dragged through the newspaper. They have been called names. And you know why? It's because of this. They have done the right thing and been treated horribly for it. Get involved. Ask people that are running for school board, how do you feel about Common Core? If they say common what, then say, okay, never mind. These are the 3 websites I'll tell you to go to. I have on the sheet of paper if you want to take them. Everything I pulled tonight are from all 3 of these sites. I write also for Missouri Education Watchdog. I love those women. Missouri Coalition Against Common Core. Sign up. There's petitions online. Turn your friends there. And Truth in American Education just keeps you apprised of what's going on a national level. That's all I got. Do you guys have any questions for me? I know, it's like, okay, I'm going to cry now. It's just like, okay, that's it? Okay, then, whoo.
A comment. Up till tonight, I thought Common Core was just rotten to the core.
Yeah.
But really, this is a very sophisticated
Yes.
form of brainwashing.
Yes.
When you limit the knowledge that you can take in, it's obvious.
It's all about controlling the message.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact is, it's like, how long can we just tell people the talking points, the talking points? Wait. Over here, the standards. But we're all over here screaming, it's not about the standards. And that's why I want Diane Franklin and Rocky Miller sitting here listening, because they're hearing, it's standards. Don't you guys, a bunch of rednecks, don't you want standards? It's not about the standards, it's about control. Yes.
What can we do to get it out of the state? Reverse, get it out of here. Can we call people in Jeff City?
Yes. Here's the thing. If you can give me your email addresses so I can keep a database, there will be times where we need people to show up for hearings en masse. We will have a sit-in at the Capitol sometime probably in February with Common Core opponents. There are times where we know you can't come to Jefferson City, but you can fill out a witness form. And when they carry in witness forms, and there's 2,000 of them, I get goosebumps when I just say that. It's powerful because you're the representatives. It spooks them.
Yeah.
So you just, and pray. I mean, we're in a critical mass. I am missing a playoff game. I have missed 2 football games this year. Does anybody know me? No, that's a big deal. Thank you so much. But you know what? It's that important. I have missed, my son never missed sporting events ever. But I feel like if we don't get engaged, and if we gotta stop worrying what people say about us. I mean, to go to school and advocate for my children, I will not apologize. They can say, oh my gosh, here she comes. Yep, wear it like a badge. I love my kids. Yes, I am. Here I am again. Because you know what? I will never owe my children an apology. I will never owe them an apology. So like me or hate me, I'm going to fight. I would rather die free than a slave to this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So when do they project that they will do these home visits for those people that you listed? Like, is it?
It's Obamacare, which is just after the first of the year, but the thing is, Common Core won't be fully implemented, and this is where we can fight, to Tina's point. Where we're going to fight is at the legislature this next session, which starts in January. We have 4 bills that are being introduced on data, the funding. So any one of those bills could be a stake through the heart of Common Core. So we can actually reverse the whole thing come next session, but we need everyone to get involved, make phone calls. When you get an email from me that says, okay, call today, then we need to burn up the phone lines. We need to tell, I say what excites me, and what I see and I get so excited is the law of exponentials. So you tell one person who tells one, you tell 2 people that tell 2, it's a beautiful thing. And that's where we're winning, because when you tell people the truth, and I can show you the documents, when I can show it to you, then it makes people furious. So I've been have a meeting in one town one night, and then it's like 3 times as big the next night, because everybody tells their friends, and they bring 3 friends, and it's like, oh. But it's so encouraging. It makes me so proud to be an American, because we still, right now, we listened to this man talk on Saturday at we were at a meeting on Saturday night. And he was from like Slovenia, or he was probably in his mid-50s. And it was so powerful because he understands this.
Oh, yeah.
And he just got so emotional, I almost started crying. He said, if you don't fight right now, he said, my family members, my great uncles were killed. This is what happened in my country, but this is so much more dangerous. He said, because, when we were in Russia, it was about, we competed with the Americans. We wanted to do better at math and science and the Olympics. He said, but this is global. Yeah. This is global. There's nobody, they want to bring everybody down. So I say, he was so emotional, it was so profound. But that will move you to see someone who recognizes all the standards-based. He told the story of standards-based grading in Russia. It's just so parallel. And people are like, you guys are so paranoid. If you say that, then go right ahead. We're not paranoid. We're educated. We choose to embrace what's happening and fight. We have no choice. So commit yourself to telling your neighbors. I started a Facebook page that is Missouri Moms Against Common Core. I should have said Mad Missouri Moms Against Common Core.
You think homeschoolers are in
We're not all
jeopardy?
moms.
Homeschoolers are in huge, not all moms, but dads can join too, but the moms are a little bit scarier, the term is. Homeschoolers are in true jeopardy. I homeschool my 9-year-old with the home visits. They're going to know this, the United Nations, the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Look it up if you're a homeschooler. If you homeschool, write that down. The Convention on the Rights of the Child is a United Nations convention, and that's looped into your Obamacare mandate. So I don't know what it's going to look like for us that homeschool, but they're going to make sure our children are safe and learning, because they can't make sure all the other kids in the country are learning and not that bunch of homeschoolers.
Well, that's what they're starting to do, is saying that the homeschool parents are keeping our kids home because we're abusing them.
Yes.
And we're trying to disguise it.
There's articles.
But yet they can abuse our children by this homosexual.
And that's the thing that I think we have to pay attention to, is that it's all about the safety. You know what Benjamin Franklin, what's that quote, Jane? Benjamin Franklin said about safety? For those who I think it's for those who are willing to sacrifice a little safety for security. Do you know it?
Well, they sacrifice safety for freedom, have neither.
Right.
Right, deserve neither.
Right.
I do think Dan Brown is fighting this.
I like Dan
think
Brown,
Senator
our
Brown is-
Senator Brown, but you need to call his office.
Yeah,
But
I know, because he needs to be encouraged.
yeah,
to come on.
Brian Nieves is like the rock star of the Senate.